Okay, today we are going to discuss about the third components, the learn components of motivation, and hopefully we can see. Uh, Let me share with you the my slides. Okay, at least we can see how we can assess how in regards to learning processes, people can create motivation in order to create or to develop specific behavior. Okay. Now, I think quite similar to the other components, the biological components and the cognitive components. So if we look at this one, in learn components, it mentioned about the importance of attention in learning. So a very simple example, in order to learn something, or in order to understand certain things, we need to pay attention. If we look back to the cognitive psychology, so if you learn the cognitive psychology, you can recall that there are one theory called information processing model, by Sifrin and Sifrin. So if you look back to that one, then you can see the importance of attention before we can start to learn, or before we can start to understand what is really happening to us, and then to the environment. So we pay attention and then start to focus um, what to be look at, and so on. So look back to the information processing model, recommended by Sifrin and Sifrin, then you can understand the importance of attention. So at least we can understand, when we give attention, when we pay attention to a certain thing, like now you pay attention to the class, now you pay attention to the class, watching the screens, and listening to what um being said, so those are the components that really important in order to understand and try to see the connection, with the learning. So the first one, focus the sensory receptors. So when we say focus the sensory receptors, it depends. Now if we look to the screens, of course the sense is the vision, right? That is the sense that we put some efforts to look at, right? So that's why when we talk to someone, when we discuss with someone, it is very critical to keep the eye-to-eye contact, so that we can show some attention or respect to the counter parts of the discussion. This is the being done because to show that we actually attending, or they call it receptors orientation. So we put some efforts and then pay attention and use this sensory, the specific sensory. Like I said, if we giving focus to the images, images, of course we will be using the sense of vision. And then if we use the hearing, so we use our ears, to listen. So those are the sensory receptors that being put together to show our attention. So everything is put into one aspect, one particular situation, which is the incidents that really happening at that particular moment. And then number two, selective processes. Selective processes. Why we say selective processes? They are also different types of attention. Now we're talking about selective attention. Why? Because we select what to be attended to. Okay, people always engage in this situation. They put some efforts and then try to select what we should attend it to. Maybe now, while attending the class, you have other things to do next to you. Maybe your children, maybe your friends, maybe your dad, your parents. But now you just choose the selective um, incidents. At this moment, what we can say is the teaching and learning, yeah, the teaching and learning to this learn component. So we select and then put some efforts. After we have selected, we put some effort. There are also types of attention, which is divided attention. So the divided attention in regards to this one, if we want to compare with selective and divided means we put efforts, we try to pay attention to two different things at the same time. So we divide the attention. So it's really hard for sure. Yeah, it's really hard to have 100% attention if we look from the divided attention perspective, because we have to divide the attention. If we have two things to do at the same time, right, simultaneously, definitely we try our best to give 50-50 percentages of attention, 50 to here, 50 to here. Imagine if you have three, four things to attend it at the same time. So, of course, the percentages of the attention will be reduced. Yeah, that's why you cannot drive while talking to phone, while texting. So, because we are actually engaging in the divided attention, what we call it divided attention. We divide our attention to various kinds of activities. The first one is driving. The driving itself requires lots of attention. The first one is the vision, right? The view that we are looking at on the road. Sometimes try to anticipate what is coming, and then what is passing. Everything related to the driving, and then. At the same time, we put attention to our hands, handling the steering wheels, the steering wheels, and then at the same time as well, we coordinate with the leg, with the accelerator, the brake system, and everything. So the driving itself requires a lot of attention. If we add with like some kind of activity like texting, holding phone, or talking to someone, so we add um, the task to ourselves while driving. So that's why we are not advised to do that. So because the more the selection, the lower the attention will be. So that's why we try to give some sort of focus, yeah, the selective attention. And then number three, underlying organization of the information. So how we perceive, how we make create meanings and understanding while giving attention. So that is the the principle of paying attention, yeah, paying attention, because when we select something to be attended to, then we start to connect, yeah, um, to our thinking processes, yeah, thinking processes, and of course the cognition, everything. So we try to connect with that situation. Now, like Wickens 1984, he mentioned about images, theme stories, and then how people remembering, yeah, memorizing certain things. They have specific characteristic that can influence how we memorize and understand specific information. But this is just highlight the good teaching involves utilizing those three processes of attention. So in order to teach effectively, at least we should consider these three processes of attention. how we make sure that the individual can attend to the stimulus or teaching, teaching, and then start to select which one, and then start to select which information is necessary, and then finally try to relate to the thinking processes. Thinking processes. So all comes together, right, hand in hand. So then, if the individual manage to relate with the attention, and then try to give focus to a specific information, and then finally try to relate with their thinking processes, and then they can going through the learning processes easily. So that's the learning processes, the what we can understand. Yeah. Now, in relation to motivation, yeah. Now, this is another thing. If you look back to the behaviorism, yeah, associative learning, right? The association between stimulus and response. So if you look back to the behaviorism theory, so we can understand how the connection between stimulus and response. People will respond to a specific stimulus, okay, specific stimulus, but don't be surprised. Yeah, don't be surprised. Sometimes the response not as expected to be responded. So it happens many times. So we expect that if we teach them like this, they can respond in this way. If we teach them like that, they can respond in that way. But that not really the case all the time, right? Because sometimes we expect that we teach them like this, but sometimes they respond in a different way. Different ways. Sometimes the way we understand how they give the response is very, very important, because sometimes, like if we look back to this one, yeah, if we want to relate this one, the first one, you put attention and try to select which information need to be attended to, and then finally, in the third stage, you try to connect to your thinking processes. Okay, those are three processes, right, that connected the whole process of learning. And then, looking back to this one, why sometimes you give really a specific stimulus does not really created the expected responses from the individuals, yeah, from the learner. Why? Because it involves this one, right? The organization of the information. So the way people connect the incidents or the situation that's happening surrounds them to their thinking processes, their understanding, their perception, how they create the understanding is different from one person to the other. So that's why sometimes, the responses could be varies from one person to the other. So sometimes they respond in this way. Sometimes the other person responded in this way. So how we understand in terms of responses, yeah, in regards to the learning activity is very, very important. Sometimes we consider, okay, this kind of responses, this is not what we expect. This is what we expect. So what we can understand here is we can't expect everyone giving the same responses, right? Because the thinking processes is different, how they perceive the problems, how they perceive the explanation, how they perceive the learning is also different, right? That is what we mean, how and why the responses can sometimes, maybe what we can say most of the time is different, right, from one person to another. So this is very, very interesting. So we can expect that we teach something, we can expect the similar types of responses, right? This is what I think sometimes we overlook about the connection, right? That's why you see attention is partially voluntary control, right? We typically attracted to new stimulation. Yeah, of course, when you look at like something new, yeah, the new car, of course we attracted to the new car. Or maybe something like we say new stimulation, maybe something not so familiar at this moment. The car is so old, but still can go on the road. Yeah, still can go on the road, without any problem. So that is also considered as voluntary control. So something that really attracted us, and not something like we have been used with this, with this situation. So something different, something unique, so that can attract people to give focus, yeah, to give focus. Okay, we move on. If we are unable to process information because of lack of ability to comprehend, if we have processed the same information before, our attention can also shift to something else. We are bored. So this is the situation why we should consider new types of stimulation, new types of environment, and so that people can this is normal, because if after we have been doing this for many years, over and over again, sometimes we need some sort of revive. We want to revive these things, and so that we can see in a different perspective, so that it can stimulate ourselves, keeping the process of learning, yeah, so that we won't stop to engage in learning processes. So that is the most important. So relating to this one, if we are a teacher or an educator, so we always need to consider this. Yeah? Always need to consider this, because by creating new environment, new stimulus, at least we can maintain the level of motivation to behave, right? Otherwise, like this one, we feel bored, like a dull situation. We have been doing this many years. And then, like for example, if we attended a classroom session, right? The teacher was teaching specific topics, and then at the same time, we also attended to the tuition center. Everyone knows about tuition center. Okay, they also learning about the same topic. When it comes to the situation, now you can see which one is learning the topics first. If the school learning topics first, if they go to the tuition center, they will feel bored. Okay, especially if they have mastered the topic. You go to the tuition center. Well, what do I need to do this? I know this already. So the same situation. If the tuition center manage to teach the topics first, and then when it comes to the schools, they feel the same. I know everything about these topics. I know everything about how to do this. And so in order to make them maintain the motivational level to engage in that topics, so we need to consider that. Okay, creating some I mean, little bit differences, in regards to the how the topics being taught in the tuition center. So we create something different. Like for example, maybe we can create different examples, or the different ability of the exercises, so then that can enrich about the activity. Then they can feel something new, something's interesting, yeah, to be learned, because we managed to create that, we managed to consider that. Okay, so that is the situation. How we have, according to the stimulus and response theory, so we need to consider the stimulus, right? How we can create the stimulus, what kind of the consideration that we need to consider in creating the stimulus, or to the exercises to the children, so that they can always see in the new perspective. Oh, this is something new, this is something new, this is something new. Because normally for human, they will feel interested in learning something new. Yeah, that's for some people. But some people, if we say, for example, we teach them as a new topic, the effect will be different from one person or from one student to another, because for some student, they really likes to the challenge. Learning something new is a very interesting experience, very interesting moment for them, because at least they can learn something new. But for some students, they may feel learning something new is very tough for them, right? Especially if they still have problem in mastering the previous topics, right? The previous topics. So they won't find learning new information or learning new topics as interesting. So we need to consider this. Many things need to be considered. Okay. All right. Any question? I mean, that is the context of the learning processes. Yeah, according to learning stimulus and response theory, then we can see. Not to say about the not just to say the connection between stimulus and response is important, but what more important is how we can create, right? How we can create, I mean, like the interesting stimulus all the time, right? So this is the challenge for the educators, right? The challenge for the educators, how we can create the stimulus as new as possible all the time, so that people can see, or the learner can see, the learning is learning something new, right? Learning new information, for example. So if we learn something new, make us so keen, so eager, interested, really push us looking forward to learn the topics. Okay, that is the normal condition, or the normal situation, right, in the learning processes. Okay, any question or anything that you would like to share? Maybe I'm sure you have experienced this a lot in your throughout your learning, formal learning period, during the schooling time, or during the college time. And I think you have experienced this situation many times. Yeah. Anything? Now,
Prof, no.
now you see, learning the stimulus and response. There are two conditions here. Yeah? The first one is unconditioned, and then the second one is conditioned. Unconditioned naturally leads to unconditioned response. This is what we need to aware. The conditioned stimulus, right? Something like the stimulus that we prepare, right? Something that can be seen. We intentionally prepare for the teaching and learning. But don't forget, at the same time, there are also energy or power of unconditioned stimulus. Sometimes we can say indirectly, right? Indirectly. Like, for example, when we teach somebody, we teach the children, or we teach in the classroom about the certain topics, our behavior in presenting the idea, right? Our behavior in presenting the idea or the topic or the lesson will respond, will be observed by the learner. Yeah? Will be observed by the learner. This is the unconditional stimulus, right? The observation. Of course, the topics, I mean, the way we teach, the exercises that we created, so those are the conditioned stimulus, right? The conditioned stimulus that we expect at the end of the session, the students can respond or to understand or to answer the exercises correctly. So that is the condition that we have set. But don't forget the power of unconditioned, right? Like I said, the physical appearance, the attitudes towards teaching. So sometimes we can see from the lesson, sometimes the teacher is really enthusiasm in teaching, in delivering the knowledge or delivering the lesson. We can see from the eye-to-eye contact, the voice, and then the body expression, the face expression, the body languages. So from that observation, we can learn something from it, creating or developing positive attitudes towards learning. So this is another thing, like I said, directly or indirectly. But according to this theory, S&R theory, he highlighted about the conditioned and unconditioned. And then in this situation, right? Now, the extinction, the concept of extinction, the procedure of repeatedly presenting the conditioned stimulus in the absence of rewards, unconditioned stimulus. So be careful, right? The use of rewards, the use of rewards. Now, see, why we need to consider this, because we often act as sophisticated evaluators of information, right? So this is from the behaviorism perspective, sophisticated evaluators of information. So something like, later the constructivist theories is come out. Constructivist theories come out, or how people constructing their own understanding, because the way they're giving response in different way to show that the information construction is happening, right? The way we construct the information, the way we construct the understanding is different. That's why I expect that whatever I say, whatever I presenting here is at least more or less 80% can be can be understood by you in a similar way. In a similar way. That is the expectation, right? If not 80%, maybe 70%. That's, I mean, the variance between the understanding. Okay. And then the other one is, now this is the one that I mentioned earlier, between conditioned stimulus and then conditioned response, unconditioned stimulus and unconditioned response. It's not to say that we should only focus on condition or CS or CR, and then try to ignore the US and UR. But this is the way how we can utilize, right? How we can utilize various way of learning processes. The first one, maybe we can say, like CS and CR, it's connection like more direct connection, right? We intentionally create that connection, right? We expect that by doing this, they will respond in this way. But at the same time, sometimes we shouldn't ignore the power of unconditioned, right? We don't expect that, but indirectly, that can affect to the student's behavior. Okay, the student's behavior. Of course, without intentionally, it also happened. It also happened. Like I said, the attitude, the positive attitude development. So sometimes they don't learn from the topic that you were teaching them, but it comes from the way they observe you as a teacher or as an educator. Okay, your sincerity, right? Your enthusiasm in teaching, and then your voice, everything, the attitudes towards teaching and towards them, responding to the question nicely. Yeah, that is the whole part of learning processes. The whole part being observed by the children. So be careful, right? I mean, I'm not to say this is the the difficulty of the teaching and learning parts, but what we need to consider is because people learn from various perspectives, right? By using various sources as well as the various senses. They hear, they can see, they can feel. So those are the things that comes together because we are talking about the one person. It consists of various kinds of elements, yeah? Various kinds of elements. We cannot separate them. We cannot separate them as a human. So we have that one. Okay, we have those things, those elements in learning. Okay, any question? I think I'm not going to take long for this for today because this is not so long, so much. But just to highlight you how, in relation to creating motivation among the learner, or developing or maintaining the motivational levels, so that they can keep inventing or keep doing the same things over and over again with passion, highly motivated to do. So why we need to consider this? This is very, very important. Okay. Now look at this one. I think you have learned about the educational psychology, the developmental, right? The developmental about the behaviorism, the concepts of reinforcement, punishment, negative reinforcement, positive reinforcement. Try to recall on that. Why we need some sort of reinforcement? Why we need punishment? Okay, and so you have to consider that as well. So something like, when we teach them, in order to convey the message, that this shouldn't be done, should not be doing, right? So there are many ways of saying that, or telling the children, or telling the learner, right? By looking at the reinforcement perspective, by looking at the punishment perspective, right? So by considering that, at least we have various way of and reinforcing the behavior, reinforcing the behavior, or developing the behavior. Sometimes, you don't want them to um, to learn about the negative attitudes of learning, right? So we want them to develop as a person, as a students that have the passion in learning. So that's, initially, as an educators, we expect that, right? They have the passion, in learning. They have these all the motivation to learn, willing to invent, and then put efforts on it. So those are the um, indicators to show that they have the positive attitudes towards learning. What we don't want them to develop is, something like, they don't like to learn, they don't like to put efforts, they don't like to do exercises, they don't even like to read, right? We don't want them to develop this kind of attitudes. Okay, so in order for them to learn about the positive attitudes towards learning, so those are the activities that we need to consider in the whole process of learning. Okay, so how we stimulate them, how we create the activity for them, how we create the situation for them, that will determine, right, how they can learn about those positive learning attitudes. Okay, so how we put some sort of reinforcement, positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement, punishment, why we should use punishment at this moment. Okay, why we should use punishment at this moment, and then what types of punishment, what types of reinforcement that we will use. right? I advise you to look back to these concepts, okay? Punishment, reinforcement, right? Stimulus and response, and then how those are connected in motivating individuals in their learning activities, okay? Now, the word like primary reinforces symbolic or secondary rewards. Yeah. So I think this is also related to the behaviorism. Yeah. For those who interested of exploring the behaviorism um, developing the motivation to learn. So I think we should look back to the behaviorism principles. Yeah, behaviorism principle. Now, like primary reinforcers, the capacity to increase the response independently, but not very practical as reinforcers of many behaviors. So again, this is very, very simple to understand because not every reinforces, not every reinforces or not every stimulus is applicable to every single context. So that's what we need to consider. Sometimes, we need to consider about the learner as well. So how the learner responded, the suitability of the activity for the learners. So we need to consider that. Sometimes, it happens. We just create as we think is right for them, but we fail to consider the related factors, something like their capabilities, their their interest, this kind of things. So that's why they said primary reinforcers. It's not, not to say very practical to every single context or every single behaviors. It may require some adjustment or modification. Okay, so that's what we mean. And then the symbolic and secondary rewards. Praise acquire reward value because they have been associated with the presentation of the primary rewards. See, again, the way we praise the children and the praise the learner. So sometimes not every single activity we should apply that, right? Sometimes we don't need to apply. Maybe we should wait a little bit longer, little bit, you know, longer before we can really give the rewards to them. So how we understand the situation, what is the time, the right moment to use rewards or to give rewards to the learner in order to praise and then to increase their motivation to learn. Okay, that is very, very important. Sometimes we don't say every single thing, oh well done, oh well done, oh well done. Well, what is the rewards for anyway? Sometimes they need to learn the process. It's not about the rewards that they will get at the end, but like the condition responses, that is the most important. The condition responses that we expect them to create is the most important, not the focus on getting rewards at the end. So we try to avoid this one. Otherwise, they we create dependencies. Yeah, we create dependencies. No rewards, no action. No rewards, no response. Something like that. So we need to consider that seriously, critically, how we can make use of these principles, right? The main point here is trying to create the positive attitudes, something like highly motivated, passion about the learning activities. That's what we need to create. It's not really about the connection between responses and rewards. It's not really about the stimulus and responses, but it is more to the behavior that we want them to develop at the end. So that is the most important. Okay. So by looking at this connection, at least we can understand, what is the best way, right? What is the best way? Of course, the characteristic to understand what is the best way is to learn about the condition, learn about the learner, right? Because the learner is different from one learner to the other. So by understanding them, at least we know what is the best way, right? What is the best way? Not to say this is the best way, okay, we will practice that all the way in every context. It's not the case. But this is more how flexible we make use of the approaches, right? So this is what we want. Okay? Now, any question? Just you give you some copy here. This is actually from book, yeah, from book about the behaviorism theory, yeah, about stimulus and response, yeah, stimulus and response. So they have, if you look back to the theory, they say classical and then operant conditioning, classical conditioning, operant conditioning. But anyway, what you need to understand here, the connection between stimulus and response, and then all connection, all the system that happen, like stimulus and response, and then you also have rewards, the connection with the reinforcement and then punishment. All connection need to be understood as one, which is developing positive behavior. Right? Developing positive behavior. That's what we mean by conditioned responses. The expectation. Okay, I want the students to learn about this one. Okay, they know how to do the exercises. They know how to keep their motivation to learn. So it becoming like a self-determined learner, and self-determined learner. They can determine their mode of learning. They can determine the speed of the learning, their intention to learn everything. So they can manage themselves. That is what we expect from those principle, from those systems. We expect that they can create that particular attitudes, yeah, within themselves. Okay, that's what we need to understand. Not just about understanding about the connection between stimulus and response, and then related to the rewards and reinforcement. Not just that, but what we need to understand, that is only the processes, okay, in order to create what so-called positive behavior, right? Positive behavior, positive attitudes among the learner, yeah, among our children, yeah, among our students. Okay. Now, related to this one, in social incentive theory, now we start talking about the rewards, yeah, incentive, the rewards. Positive rewarding experiences often occur when we do what others want us to do. So, social incentive theory. So, how you feel, how the children feels, how the learner feels. Okay, that is social incentive learning theory. It's very, very important about rewards that we expect. Sometimes, the rewards, how do we consider the rewards? Is it because of we deserve? Is it because of primary or secondary? Right? If we say like primary, of course we always look forward about the rewards, right? The rewards. So we expect the rewards. No rewards, no responses. No rewards, no action. No rewards, no behavior. We don't want that to develop, okay? Because at the end of the day, they will develop dependencies. Yeah, dependencies. Okay, that's why we have to be careful in offering the rewards. Okay, in offering the rewards, because rewards in some situation can create positive attitudes. Okay, highly motivated students, but in some situation, it can also create low motivation, dependency. Not they are not becoming like self-determined person, right? Self-determined learner. Okay. Now, this is from Bandura. We learn to avoid disapproval because it signals the withdrawal of primary rewards. So again, the words disapproval. So in many way, disapproval, the way people feel, the way people understand, the way people see, the way people understand is various. Okay, because how we react to the responses, how we react to the behavior, yeah, the students' action in the teaching and learning session, that can give some sort of indicator, right? Some indicator to the learner about approval or disapproval. So they can see, like for example, if you continuing guiding them in doing exercises, right? Guiding them doing exercise. Oh, this and that, this and that. So they feel that the sense or indicators of approval, right? Approval. So if we ignore them, right? They ignore them. So it is can be considered sometimes as disapproval. Okay, we don't want them to behave the way they behave, and the way they behave. So again, how we use those principles is very, very important. Yeah, very, very important. Again, that's why I stress that many times. Okay, because this can lead the consequences or the effect of the connection between the system, yeah, in the system, to more like a positive uh, effect or positive output. Yeah? Positive output. That's what we expect, right? This is I just one part here. Much of the learn component has its theory. Like for example, we use physical aggression because we receive social approval for such behavior as children. Maybe we have a personal experiences, previous experiences related to this one. The way we being taught, like I don't know how you being taught in schools when you were schooling. So maybe some of you experiencing bad moment, experiencing bad experiences, or some of you maybe experiencing only the sweet thing, right? Sweet things, interesting parts, interesting situation, very interesting experiences. Because the way people experience the situation is different, right? Because I don't know, maybe because of the nature, yeah, maybe because of the nature of the teacher or the educators. Yeah, sometimes this is human, right? This is human. Sometimes we have some sort of inference. Sometimes we have some sort of dealing with the favor, right? This kind of thing. So we more inclined to students like have a very good appearance. Somebody like well behaved. So we incline to this one, right? So that's why the way we respond to the students or the learner is very, very critical. Okay, because this is by nature, where human or the educators more decline to the students, yeah, misbehave students, the students not really well dressed, or the appearance is not that interesting. So we incline and decline to this kind of situation. So that's why if we overlook of this effect, so that can affect to the a different output and different output in the context of the learner or the students. So be careful on that, and so that we are not creating something that we didn't expect to be created. Okay. All right. Any question? Another thing is, this is what I mean earlier. Children learn a great deal through imitation and observation, right? The learning is happening in the absence of any rewards, occurs for its own sake. So sometimes it's not to say that we expect this one instead of giving rewards, so that at the end we will create dependencies among children. No rewards, no action. No rewards, no activities. So no rewards, no response. So we don't want to create that situation. Sometimes, we have to playing around. Okay, how we can make use of the rewards, right? you know Sometimes, we give reward because of they deserve, right? They deserve, not because of the connection. Okay, if we to stimulate them to respond or to engage in the exercises, okay, we give them a reward. It's not always the case. Yeah, it's not always the case. So we need to clear on this. Yeah, the relationship between stimulus and response and rewards, and or even the reinforcement, right? The reinforcement. Now, Foreman and Koshanka, 2001, they mentioned about the intrinsic situation, right? Now, intrinsic situation. We are intrinsically motivated to learn about environment. So they mentioned about the intrinsic, the internal factors about learning the environment. So we are intrinsically, by nature, we are intrinsically motivated to learn about the environment. A lot of things. Children are more inclined to imitate their mothers than another person. So of course, you know why? Because they spend more times with the mother. Okay, or the other significant others, the people that close to them, their brothers, their sisters, or their parents, their uncle. Okay, so because that is the chance for them, because they are close to them, so that they have the higher chances to learn from the people. That's what they mean by the imitation, right? Once we learn something, it's often difficult to change. This is another principle, right? Once we learn something, it's really hard, especially when the concepts, the understanding, or the learning becomes established. Okay, established. It is difficult normally, yeah, to change. Like for example, when I went to the UK, I of course to do my PhD, yeah, for 3.5 years. I was like what, age 40, around 40 years of age. So my English is not that good. My English, I mean my English remains not good until now. And my children, I brought the whole family, accompanied by my family, and my wife and 3 children. So those they still young. The first one, age hang on, 4. And the first one, age 8, 8 years of age. And the second one is 4, and then the youngest one is 2. So they're still young. They know nothing about English. You see, they went there. We have the responsibility to enroll them in the local schools, right? That is the responsibility. We cannot keep them in the house, so we need to register them in the school that close to where we live. So it happened, at the beginning. So I have to settle down with this one. I have to settle everything, my children, my family. I registered them in the school nearest to, not far from our house. So what was happening then? From know nothing about English, but within 3 months time, okay, 3 months time. You imagine 3 months time, really amazed me. 3 months time. Of course, at the beginning, the first few weeks, I have to stay in the classroom, accompany them because they keep crying. Especially the second one, yeah, the age 4. So new people, new environment, never been experienced before. All of them English people with the different appearance, different hair, different look. So he feels unsecure, unsecure because a new environment. Keep crying, so I have to be in the classroom. I think for 2 weeks time, stay with them, stay with him, and then for him to settle down. But within 3 months time, it really amazed me. 3 months time, he can start speak. He can start converse. He start communicate amongst them by using their language. His English, his pronunciation, everything changed within 3 months time. Imagine 3 months time. They learn how only 3 months to acquire the language, and then after 6 months he can communicate well, right? He can communicate well with the similar pronunciation, the local pronunciation. This is really something different. Whereas me, like I said, something, the last point, something that, especially something that has been established, okay, established. So your language is already established, right? You have Malay language, which is my first language, and then English, which is my second language. Because first language and second language is different. The level is different. The way we articulate is different, right? If we speak in our first language, we don't have any problem. Okay, we don't have any problems because the vocabulary, the way we articulate is different. But if we try to speak in our second language, like now, what I'm trying to say, what I'm trying to do, is different, right? The way I articulate sometimes you get distracted with the first language. That's what we mean by establish, right? Something, the behavior that has been established. When it has been established, it's really hard. Although we can say it still can be changed, still can be modified, but you have to put a lot of efforts, right? A lot of efforts. So at the end of the day, this is what you can see now, right? Even my children now keep correcting me the way I pronouncing words. Even sometimes the sentences is wrong to them. Oh, yeah, this is wrong. You shouldn't say like that. You should say like this. Oh, yeah. So whatever it is, this is what I mean. Something that established is really hard, yeah, to be changed or to be modified. Not to say it cannot be, but it takes a little effort, right? It takes a little efforts to do or to change. So that's why they can learn the language within 6 months time with the perfect English, right? Local way of speaking, whereas me still the same, remains the same, right? So that's the differences. So in order to create this, yeah, before that's why in religion, in Islam, they said that if we want to teach children or if we want to show children, we should start off as early as possible. Okay, don't wait until the behavior is established. Don't wait until the language is established. Don't wait until the attitude is established. You know why? Because to change the something that has been established, it takes a little while, little efforts. Okay, it takes really some efforts to change. So if we want to start something, so we need to start off as early as possible. Okay, that is the principle of learn component, right? Another thing is explore how the behavior is developed from the perspective of observational learning principle. So to end this session, I would like you to explore the first one that I expect you to explore is the behaviorism theory. Okay, the behaviorism theory. Try to learn the principle of stimulus and response and how it works in developing or maintaining the motivational level of the children. In what way? Like I mentioned earlier, So if we keep always, creating the recency, yeah, how they see the situation or the activity as new all the time. How we can create the situation is depends on how we understand the situation. So how to create what so-called always new, something new to the approaches or to the lesson or to the learning, that is always come back to us as in an educators. Okay, there's one thing. And then the other one is what I want you to explore is the observational learning principle, right? This also from Bandura. That one is from behaviorism perspective. Now this is a social learning theory. Look from the observational learning principle, right? How people engage in learning activities through observation, right? What make them motivated, so anxious, yeah, to do such behavior through observational learning. So what are the underpinning principles, right? Underpinning principles that can create such a such energy that can motivate individual to do to act to action to do actions. Okay, two things. The first one is behaviorism, and the second one is the observational learning principles. Right? Any question? All right, no question. All right, very good. I don't know. No question because of my explanation is good. Oh, my explanation is not good because you don't get anything. You don't understand anything. So anyhow, it's okay. But keep on reading. Yeah, keep on reading. I hope that whatever I mentioned it can be understand easily, and then you can see from the perspective of the real situation, right, in your teaching and learning activities. When I say teaching and learning activities, I infer the context to two different perspective at least. The first one is the formal education, and then the second one is informal education. It could be from the perspective of schools, and then the second one is could be from the perspective of everyday life. Yeah, everyday life. It could be at home, could be in the society, could be anywhere. Right? So I hope that you can see that from those perspectives, so that you can understand that easily. Okay, now before we end, I would like to say a bit about the assignment. So how about the assignment? Any problems with the assignment? I think not that difficult, and not that difficult. Because the way we use the theory in explaining the behavior, the motivational behavior of the children, of the students, or of the learners is quite the same, the way we do in our personal reflection, right? Making use of various motivational theories in explaining what is really happening to the behavior. What are the fundamental underlying principles, right? Principles in the behavior. So I think not that difficult. Just follow the format, and I think should be fine, right? Should be fine. If you think that you want to share something or the draft, if you are free to do so. Yeah, I wish that you can share that in the e-learning as well as in the WhatsApp group, so that other people can also learn. Right? This is what I did to the what was that in other courses, making use of the students' example so that others can learn. Right, making comparison with theirs and then try to make some changes or additional information to be added inside. Okay. All right, and okay, hang on. Let's see about this. Hang on. Okay. Lock this out in too many pages. You guys still with me?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes, Doc. Yes.
Hang on 1 second. The internet supposed to be faster at this moment, but I don't know. Maybe more people using the internet now.
Prof, I have a question.
Yes, please.
Okay, for the presentation group activity, is it related with the case study report?
Yes, 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 yes. I mean, we're supposed to present it in the class, the assignment in the class, and so that we can share with others in the class, face-to-face presentation, of course. Yeah. But since the situation now is more to online, and you prepare the presentation, right? The case study that
Okay.
you prepare. So what you need, I think I've give the guidelines what to be presented, right? What to be presented, and like the introduction, and then the problems, the behavior, and then the analysis, right? The analysis, and then finally the some sort of discussion, recommendation, or conclusion. So something like that. So the introduction a bit, what problems are you interested in, and then the problem itself, the behavior itself, and then the analysis, by looking at, looking from the theoretical perspective. So how we can explain about the behavior, why they behave like that, why what are the underlying principles that make them behaving the way they behave, and then finally some sort of conclusion and suggestion or recommendation, if we think that we want to improve the behavior, or we want to modify the behavior, and so those kind of things. So I think not that much. I mean, you like about 5 minutes presentation.
Okay, doctor.
About a 5 minute presentation, I think should be okay. I mean, hopefully not more than 5 minutes. Okay.
Alright, okay.
I mean, how you want to record that is up to you. Mobile phone, or you want to use like Webex, Google Meet. You discuss with your member, and then maybe you set up the Google Meet or Webex or any medium, and then you discuss it, you present it, take role as presenter to present, and then the other member can give some sort of additional comments or additional information, right? About the presentation. I think that should be okay. Okay. All right. Where is it? And then, okay. Check your attendance now. Okay. 4 more. Any problem to scan the code? Okay.
Is
Okay, 3 more. Any problem? Who got problem with this? 7. Okay, 2 more. Now who's not here? Raihan. Raihan ada. Okay, Raihan is here. Korea. Okay, 2 more. Who else? Can't remember the name. Soleh Umar. Korea. Soleh. Nini.
wait, doctor, I have problem.
Okay. Or you just take the picture of this, the scan, the code. Just take a picture of the code first, and then you can scan later. It's fine. It's also fine. Who's the other one? Raihan Saleh. Xing Xing. Korea. Okay, Raihan Saleh. Raihan.
I think Aisha.
Where's Aisha?
She's not
Yeah,
in
the
the class.
number. Not here today.
Yeah, she's not here today. I'm using phone and laptop at the
Right.
moment.
Mm. Okay then. All right. It's fine. So at least we know that. All right. I will stop sharing, and don't forget to do the further reading on the behaviorism and the observational learning principle. Okay.
Okay.
All right, then. So thank you very much, and have a good day. Have a very good day for you all. And as usual, always observe the new normal of life. Yeah, new normal of life. And we're still in the critical situation. Anything can happen. Anything can. I mean, the situation can getting worse. And everything. So please take care of yourself and always observe the SOP, and hopefully we can get through this hard time, yeah, this pandemic, without any problems. Yeah, any problems. So with that, so thank you very much for your time. And if you think that you have anything to share, you may use the WhatsApp group, so that everyone can get connected to the discussion. Okay, so thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much all. Have a nice rest. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you, doctor. Waalaikumsalam.
Thank you, Doctor. Goodbye.